Since I've been here since '79, there's been this traditional country contingent that's always thrown rocks at people that had influences from other places, like Ronnie and I did. You know, it always made me smile when we were making records and people go, "Man, at least y'all are still real country." You know, I'm thinking, God, you know, I was chasing the Allman Brothers and the same acts you're talking about. You know, but a lot of the young acts today that got a lot of hip-hop influence and whatever. It's what they're listening to in their frat houses. I know it is. They're in there partying just like we were to the Eagles, but it was also Leon Russell and Allman Brothers and Skinner and all that stuff, you know. So let it eat.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm more of a fan of traditional type stuff, like you guys. You know, growing up, that's just what I love listening to. But I'm kind of the end of, I think, the era that grew up on that stuff and
Southern
loving
rock,
that stuff,
more
Southern
stuff,
rock,
yeah.
that kind of stuff. You know, I'll be 34 soon, so I think I'm right at the end of that before the next group, and then they started listening. And I think it had a lot to do with social media. You know, iPods and stuff that you had all kinds of stuff on. You know, for me, it was kind of whatever 8-track or CD or tape or whatever my dad had, and that's what I listened to. And so, but yeah, I think people now, or kids now, listen to all kinds of stuff. I think they may listen to one of my songs and one of y'all's songs, and then you know, whatever hot rappers out there now. And I think you're exactly right. But I'm one of the guys that I'm more of a traditional guy. That's what I like to listen to when I turn music on. But I certainly don't have a problem with anybody doing whatever it is, as long as you're genuine with what you do and you love what you do, and that's, you know, you're not playing a part. I'm cool with any of it, you know.
When you were high school, college, though, I mean, it doesn't matter. Does it, what you listen to? I mean, I mean, I always was. And hell, when I started having bands in college, we were playing Hank Sr. I was playing Hey Good Looking, and I was playing Frank Zappa songs and everything in between, you know. Eagles, Paul McCartney, whatever I heard that turned me on. It wasn't like I was ever thinking about genre or whatever. You know, if it was cool or if it was good, man, we learned how to play it, and that was in our show next week.
Or whatever anybody gave you $100 to play. You figured out how to play it. Figured out how to play it.
I was laughing the other day talking to somebody. We were talking about tip jars in New Orleans. I had a guy almost made it to his seat 4 times one night wanting to hear Redneck Mother, which when I started playing bars, that was one of the things you just said. It was like Margaritaville. You know, how many times can you play this thing?
Yeah.
And he came, play Redneck Mother. And I go, she was born, you know, and he'd almost get to his seat and he'd come back with another $100 bill and stick, play Redneck Mother. I'm like, gotcha. He was born. I made $400 kicking that song off before he finally sat down and passed out. Of course, the crowd loved it because they knew how stupid he was.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's man, those were fun days. I remember my manager and I were just talking about recently about, because we're working on 11 years together out on the road, my band and I. And in the early days, even when I had a single out there, when we didn't take a bus until I think it was my second single was top 20. So we're, you know, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And green as a blade of grass, and we're out there in a van and a trailer, still lugging our own gear. And I'm like, man, my song, I got the 25th most played song in the country or whatever, you know. Thinking that's a big, huge deal, which it is, but I'm like, God, this is not at all what I thought I was signing up for, man. And we were laughing about that the other day. But those are those type moments you're talking about are the ones that really make you appreciate, you know, having the success that we've been able to have. So it's fun to look back. I would never want to get back in a van, but it's fun to look back and think about and talk about those days.
I know, been there, man. I think people don't realize sometimes that just read People magazine how. And I tell a lot of people that are asking for some advice, when they come to town or whatever. It's like, man, money is a byproduct. You gotta want to do this for nothing. You gotta want to do this because you love it, because you're a show off like I am. Because you just gotta get on stage like you were talking about, jumping up with your uncle's band. It's just, you gotta want to do it, and be able to and want to do it for nothing. And if you do it enough because you love it so much and you have some talent, then eventually you might make some money. But as far as a financial career move, I wouldn't advise it.
No, I remember when, and again, we had maybe our first hit, but me and my wife were in an 800 square foot little house right up the road here. And I remember sitting at the computer looking at our bank statement, and after we had paid all our bills, I think we had like $150 left for the first time ever, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have made it.
We're on the other side of the line. I
cannot believe this. We didn't have to pay anything late. But no,
we're in the black, honey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on, we're going to Chili's. No, you're exactly right. You can't chase the money, and that's any business that you go into. But I'll tell you a great van story. Back in the day, this had to be 10, 11 years ago now. I think we may had our first single out, which was a song called "Back That Thing Up" that shot all the way to 38, I think, and then back down. But
tore up there to 38.
Get a call from my agent at William Morris, our booking agent. They're like, "Man, we need an opening act for Brooks and Dunn, ZZ Top in Omaha tomorrow," And he's like, I know it's a long ride, and I think it was like 17 hours or something. Wow. We hopped in a van that day and tore off up there, but it was a huge thrill for me to just to kind of to speak to your point about you just got to love to do it. We rode 17 hours in a van because I thought, I've made it, man. I get to open for Brooks and Dunn and ZZ Top. Are you kidding me? And I remember having y'all had a big, huge thrust in the center, and again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going out there trying to halfway do a good job, and I go out to the end of the thrust, and I got reamed because I wasn't supposed to be out there. I think ZZ Top didn't, whatever it was, and
it wasn't us.
No, it wasn't you guys. But you really learn some things out there in the early days, and you go, oh, okay. But my point is,
it's funny you said that, because I was about to say, boy, I've been out on some thrusts when I got talked to when I got off stage.
Exactly. And it was but my point is, 17 hours just to play 20 minutes and come 17 hours back, but it was a huge thrill for me and an honor to share the stage with you guys. Obviously.
That's a great story.
And a great learning experience on top of it.
That's cool. I remember, we got Ronnie and I, when we were rolling, man, we were kind of as hot as we'd ever been, and got a call to open for the Rolling Stones in Omaha, Nebraska.
Wow.
But it was, the money was about 10% of what we were used to making, But for us, same thing. It's like, what do we got to do where, it was like, we got to charter a jet and we got to do this and that to make this happen. We didn't care.
Right.
It's like, we want to open for the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And it was funny because they came back, their person came and said, hey, the guys, before they go on stage, they wanted to come back and say, hey, we're awesome, so we're waiting in the green room, and they turn the corner, here's Mick and Keith and Charlie Watts and Ron, and they turn the corner, and Mick goes, oh, that is all, best open this one, oh, sing it all, crowd, sing it along with you, a song about the neon. I know, I said, well, no disrespect, Mr. Jagger, but we played Omaha a lot more than you.
No doubt, right? Yeah.
But it was awesome. And they called to do some more dates. We said, no, I don't think we can afford to do a whole lot more of that.
You take the hit on one of them and say you did it, but
it's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
So you got to do a tribute for Kenny Rogers last night.
Yeah.
And I mean, I bet that was a real love fest too. I hate I missed it because I talked to Reba. I know she was on this show, and she was really excited about getting to do it. And you did Lucille. I mean, one of his most, except for The Gambler, one of his most iconic songs. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no pressure, right? Yeah. I got a call to be a part of that, and I thought, first of all, why are you calling me? But I'm thankful and honored. But and then, like you said, to get to do and just a classic Kenny song was awesome. It was a great night. It was the first time I had the opportunity to meet Kenny.
Oh, he's a great guy, sweetest guy you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah, he seemed awesome. Nothing like the pressure of going out and singing one of his iconic songs with him sitting about 25 feet to your right, and I thought, well, no pressure here. And I was saying to you off the air that his songs, he had a lot of story songs, such as Lucille, and a lot of words.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled that they had a teleprompter in case I was to mess up. I didn't want to, do a disservice to him or his song. But no, it was a great night. I mean, so many great artists. I mean, from Henley to Lady A, Reba. I mean, Idina Menzel, which as a father of 3 little girls, and she sang the Frozen stuff on that movie.
Oh yeah,
she's amazing.
Cool.
So it was really cool to see her, and just honored to be a part of it. I got all the questions about what Kenny meant to me and my artistry, and his influence on me. I thought Kenny Rogers sold a song as well or better than anybody ever. And that's something, I think early on in my career, I went out there and just tried to hit the highest note I could and, just prove to people I could sing. And I've learned through people like him that, try to sell the song, and I believed every word he sang, no matter what type of song.
He really laid back in a song, and put that song way back in his throat to where you kind of had to lean in and one. Of course, he had that great gravelly tone anyway.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first got to town, Islands in the String it had just popped, and everybody was talking about how pop country music was and everything.
Yep.
I'm like, Dolly and Kenny. It's like, but
yeah, he kind of made the move to country early '80s. Am I correct?
No, it was before that. Actually,
wasn't?
Yeah, well, yeah, The Gambler, I guess, was
'70s.
Boy, yeah, it was late '70s, probably.
But '80s, you're right. Was that about when you moved to town?
79. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely more pop than coming out of the '70s and the outlaw movement, and then.
But it was good.
It was really good. Yeah. I loved a lot of that stuff.
And Garth did Shameless and all that stuff, and people were just screaming, "Oh my God, what is this?" I don't know. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been cyclical. That's why people ask me back home, about. Pop country or rap country or whatever kind of country is out there now. And I'm like, man, it's always been like this.
I know it. It has. And it always breeds some real earthy, cool thing like Randy Travis or Ricky Skaggs or something comes busting out of there to swing your head back the other way. And go, oh, yeah.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Yeah. So you talk about back homes. You made the move from Nashville. Do you feel like... obviously, you got the invite to do this. Some days, do you wake up in Arkansas going, man, I wonder if I should be a little closer to the heat of this thing? Or
yeah, I mean, I've definitely missed out on things. I know that I have. But what I've gained by being back home, I think outweighs that. And so, Nashville was really good to me, obviously. Moved here 16 years ago now, and lived here for 9-10 years. And then when my wife and I had our oldest daughter, who's now 7, almost 8, we were just, most of the time when you're here as an artist, it's because you're off. So we were just sitting in a house with our little girl, and all of our friends here were in a different place in their lives. They didn't have kids yet or weren't married. And, we're sitting here 3-4 days in a row I'm off, and thinking, man, I really wish our parents could be around our baby, and when I'm gone, I wish you had a little more help around here, and those types of things. And so we made the move back there. But I have great friends here, and I think really good relationships here, and so I'm certainly appreciative of what Nashville has afforded me, but it just wasn't home.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to go home.
I think it's cool.
For me, I think, especially if you're a creative person, and in particular that's your job, I think the happier you are in your personal life, the more creative you can be. And so maybe, like I said, I'm sure that there are opportunities that I maybe let slip through the cracks because I'm not here, but I think, what I've gained in being back around mom and dad and family and all that, I think has probably outweighed those things.
That's good. And for me, it was about writing songs. So I wrote songs for 10 years before I hit the road. So,
yeah,
and I'd made so many friends. It was such a part of that culture.
Right. And see, for me, I've had some of my songs cut by other artists, but that has never been my goal. I write a little differently. I more so write for projects than I do write day in and day out. It's hard for me to go, I got a 10 o'clock write today. I just never has been in me for some reason. I mean, I've done it, but I write better at home. When in the middle of the night, I wake up and I go, I got to write this down.
Sure.
And so it's never really been my goal to have a lot of songs cut by other artists. If it happens, great. I'm honored. That's really cool. But I write a little differently.
Yeah, well, you got a deal going.
And I got 4 kids.
So you got a brand new one. Have you figured out what's causing this yet?
Yes.
I was gonna pull you aside when we get done if I might be able to help.
Yeah, it's funny because I told my dad. I think this was when my wife was pregnant with her third little girl. I said, I don't know what in the world. He goes, really, you don't know what in the world is? Well, I know, but and I'm not even home much. But yeah, we just had our first little boy. We had.
I was about to
daughters.
say, you're just so outnumbered. You figured at some point I gotta have a short-haired one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's still wild to us because we've always been known as the couple that has all the girls and the pink bows and all the girly toys and dolls and this and that. It's still weird for us. We still go, yeah, we really have a boy now? This is crazy, but it's been fun to see the dynamic kind of change in the family. It's really cool, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun down the road. And maybe
girls are all over him too, huh?
Oh yeah, we have way more help than we need, I can promise you. But maybe now I'll win a fight every now and then in my house with him on my side.
Well, at least both of y'all can go cripple in the corner together. And go, I know, but you just got. Listen, here's what you do, son. You shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just don't say anything. I promise you. I know it feels like you need to.
Yeah.
You need to fight back, but just shut up.
Shut your mouth. Pick your battles wisely. That's somebody. A buddy of mine just got married, and he's asking me advice. My wife and I just celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary, and I'm like, man, just let everything pretty much go. You once or twice a year, something is just going to drive you too crazy to let go, and you realize it's going to be 3 days of hell because you're going to go in for it. I said, but other than that, just let it go, man.
There's a price to pay if you can afford it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's funny to me because I'm an only child, so I didn't have
that is,
I didn't grow up with a lot of people in the house, and so my situation now is the complete opposite, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Have you had a chance to talk to Jason or Trace, other guys who have been outnumbered for?
Yeah, who was that? Trace was one of the earliest tours I did, and I had maybe one child at the time, girl, and so he was letting me in on the fact that I had some difficult days ahead. I think.
Just wait till you get 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly. So now that I have 3 girls, maybe I need to go back to him for some more advice.
Yeah.
So.
Well, man, I'm glad you came in. We could, I could talk about all your songs and all the awards you've had and all the million sellers and whatever, but I know everybody else does that. It's nice to catch up on some real life.
Yeah, man.
And the music sounds great. And congrats on the new single, man. We're rocking up and enjoying playing it.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me. It's always a lot of fun.
Good. Take care of yourself.
You too, buddy.